Do I like that angle?
It's okay. Yay.
There. Now our heads aren't cut off. Yay!
It's always a good thing.
So, today is a catch-up for the 13 Nights of Halloween that we have failed to keep up with.
We've been watching movies. We just haven't been documenting.
So, today will be days 1 through 5. Because I think that's right? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
So have fun with that.
Woo! I'll try not to make it too long. So, the first movie that we will talk about is Clue, which I do not have the box for, so imagine Clue.
It's around here somewhere, but since we have a DVD copy, it's kept in storage, and we just keep our DVDs in a big binder.
But yes, Clue is based off the board game Clue, or Cluedo, if you're not American, and it is a murder mystery, but the movie is very comedic. And I enjoy it because it has Tim Curry in it.
Yes, Tim Curry is great, and all the dialogue is well written, and everyone just jumps off of each other, chock full of puns.
Very much so. It is a loose story of how these people even got into the same mansion, since I always wondered that when playing the board game. Why were these people together?
And why is there Mr. Body
Yes.
as the body?
So it has that story, and it has, depending on what you own, there is an ending that has all the endings, where there's one where, Mrs. Peacock did it, Miss Scarlet did it,
Yep.
or everyone
Everybody.
did
Which is
it.
definitely the best ending.
It is, and it involves a lot of running around, and it's hilarious and worth the watch.
You get to see Christopher Lloyd with not white hair.
True, it's got Christopher Lloyd in it. It's got Tim Curry in it. I like, you'll recognize all the people, I just don't remember all their names. So, yeah. I wish I could remember their names, but I can't.
Yeah, it's definitely a great movie for the Halloween time if you don't want to watch something that's horrifically scary.
Yes. It's got like baby jump scares, but it's just more fun and enjoyable. So that was what he thought should be a good kickoff to the 13 Nights.
Yeah.
And I think we should just keep doing the funny ones first, and then we'll get to the scary ones. So, the next one, which we actually have a case for,
Blu-ray.
is Beetlejuice. Which, I guess it could be scary, depending on what you're afraid of. Since I watched this as a kid, and it did not scare me.
I enjoyed the cartoon show as a kid. This scared the crap out of me when I was like 3 or 4 because everything was just so terrifying. I wasn't ready for people to be moving their faces in the shapes and for Michael Keaton Beetlejuice to be trying to murder people. As funny as it is.
Whereas I think I had the hardest time accepting that Alec Baldwin was in it. Like, it doesn't look like him.
He's very young and very thin.
Yes, he's so different. I have a hard time with that. But yes, it's about these two who die at the beginning of the movie, so that's not really a spoiler, and how they deal with being dead. And
Eventually they get tired of the humans living in their house
So
and
they-
summon the bio-exorcist Beetlejuice.
to help get rid of the humans, which goes splendidly well. So well.
And Michael Keaton, it's like he plays a lot of comedic roles, but I feel like they're generally straight men, whereas Beetlejuice is completely off the rails insane.
Yeah, he is bonkers. Like, beyond bonkers. So that's really enjoyable.
And then Winona Ryder as the emo goth daughter is hilarious.
Yes, she's always covered in black, has a black veil, takes pictures, talks about how the world is an endless dark void.
And she's the only person you can see the ghosts in the house because she's so dark.
Yes. She wants to die and be among them because she's special that way.
Yeah, it's a good family comedy as long as your children are prepared for it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Since, after like 6 or so, I liked the movie. But really early, I couldn't handle it, whereas I loved Aliens and RoboCop and Terminator because things are wrong with me.
This is a Tim Burton movie, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So be prepared for that, too. If you know Tim Burton movies,
There'll be a few black and white stripes in places.
just a few. Just like
And musical scores by Danny Elfman, who scores like damn near every Tim Burton movie.
yeah, yeah, and it's a very dated movie now, but it's still good. Oh, apparently our Blu-ray has 3 episodes from the animated series. Oops.
Could have been watching those.
Darn. Anywho, that is Beetlejuice. And then the last of the mostly funny with a little bit of scary, just a little bit, is Ghostbusters. And we have the fancy Blu-ray that has a little book and stuff.
And it's Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the original. No remake in sight.
Which we have not seen the remake, so we probably shouldn't be jumping to conclusions.
I just heard enough bad things about it, and the trailer did not seem very appealing.
I know. I watched the Everything Wrong With from CinemaSins, and I was not impressed with the new one. However, we're going to talk about the originals, and they are good.
Yes.
And again, I did not find these really scary or anything.
There's just like 1 or 2 scenes in each of them that, as a kid, are pretty scary, but the movie is so great that you just cover your eyes for that and then get past it.
He doesn't like the armchair in the first one. I never thought that was scary.
Well, it was creepy as a child.
It didn't-
Again, pretty much nothing scares me nowadays. It's just whatever.
I think the dogs creeped me out more than the armchair in the first one. And then the second one, the ooze never bothered me. Vigo never really bothered me.
I found Vigo creepy. I didn't like the decapitated heads in the subway. But,
I wonder if that's because my dad had me watching like Highlander and stuff as a kid. Like, it
Whereas-
just didn't bother me.
Whereas my older brother was completely terrified of going to the bathroom by himself because he was convinced that the pink ooze would come and get him. So I, his like 3 or 4-year-old brother, had to accompany him to the restroom to make sure everything was okay before he could do things.
But yes, if you don't know what Ghostbusters is, because you've been living under a rock, it's a bunch of guys. Let's see if I can remember all their character names. Peter Venkman. I don't remember Egon's name.
Spangler?
Okay. And then we got Winston, who gets added later in the first movie. And Ray...
Stance?
Is it?
Pretty sure.
Yes. They are, the first, or the one, Peter, Ray, and Egon work at a university, and they get fired, and then they form the Ghostbusters because they like paranormal stuff. And then they add Winston because they need help.
And I loved both these movies as a kid, watched the cartoon show all the time, and some of the action figures and the Ecto-1 to drive around.
And he really likes it because Sigourney Weaver's in it.
Yes. Who, because I was a child, didn't make the connection that she was the same lady as Ripley from the Aliens movies until I was like, I don't know, 10 or something.
He has a crush on her.
She's a nice looking woman.
Yes. The only plot I didn't really like is the whole between movies, she and one of the Ghostbusters breaks up, and then she has a kid by someone else, and, you know, there's that mess, but you know, whatever. The plot in the movies are fine. It's just the one they wrote for in between the movies I didn't like.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple cartoon series.
Yeah, I also watched either the new Ghostbusters or the Extreme Ghostbusters, whatever came out later. Had like females and minorities and handicapped people. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, that is Ghostbusters. So, next would be...
6 movies in one.
So I thought you wanted to save this for last, so... Resident Evil!
Woo.
We have the big ol' collection of all the movies, so... Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife, and Resident Evil Retribution, and then Resident Evil The Final Chapter, which we're fairly certain is not going to be the final chapter. So, you know, screw them.
Well, I'm sure it's, the end of Mila's time. I'm sure they'll just remake it in like 5 years.
Yeah, probably. And then the discs aren't too fantastical. They're just...
Yeah, I think they just grabbed all the discs they had lying around from the unsold copies and then combined them together into this set because they don't match at all.
Yeah, it's just like the main screen picture from the, whatever. Anywho, it's based off the video game Resident Evil or Biohazard, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
And it's loosely based off the games.
The first movie I didn't see in the theaters, I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13 at the time. My brother legally downloaded that off the internet and put it on a VHS tape for us to watch, and I watched that to death, and eventually I bought my own DVD of it, and I saw all the other ones in theaters except for this latest one.
Which I'm glad we didn't go to the theaters for.
We got these on Blu-ray a couple times, so I feel like I've more than made up for my illegal watching of it the first time.
Yes, we had gotten a collection before. I think it only had the first 4.
Yep.
And then there was Retribution, but we didn't buy a set after that. We waited.
Yep.
And then I saw that this one had all of them, so then I got this one. But it follows the story of Alice, who is Mila Jovovich, and how she combats the dead or undead.
And the first movie is an actual horror movie, and then the other ones kind of
Just our
have
action.
jump scares with a lot of action.
The last one is just jump cuts and jump scares. And it's friggin' annoying. But the first one, yes, is almost a true horror movie. Nothing really scary happens right away. There is, like, off-putting stuff, and a bunch of people do die, but not in, like, rawr ways.
Getting sliced up by lasers and whatnot.
Yeah. So, I like it.
Yeah, so I think they're really cool, enjoyable movies, but sadly their quality dips after the first one. Like, it's just constantly, the next movie is not quite as good as the last movie you watched in the series.
But I do like the first 3.
Yes,
So-
the first 3 are really good.
So, Resident Evil, Apocalypse, and Extinction. You should watch those 3. And then if you're bored, watch Afterlife, Retribution, and the final chapter.
But watch them all at least once.
Yeah, it's worth watching. I don't even remember how much I paid for this set. I've got it on sale. It was like Prime Day or something.
It was like $30 for 6 movies on Blu-ray, so why the hell not?
So if it's on sale and you do like the first couple, you might as well just get them.
And I've heard it said many times on the internet, at least, that they've never made a good video game movie, but I enjoy a lot of video game movies, probably because I'm too forgiving and a gamer.
Yeah, but we're not forgiving in anything else. Also, I've never played a Resident Evil game, so okay, I take that back.
What did you play? Oh, the gun game with me.
Yeah, the Wii game.
Umbrella Chronicles and Darkside Chronicles.
Which aren't quite canon. So.
It's nice, though, to be dragged around on rails instead of having to figure out puzzles. Then you can experience some of the plot, at least.
Yeah, but I'm not, like, a twitchy gamer like you, so when they're like, mash this button, I'm like, which button is it? It's
so I'm like,
this one.
Grenade!
Like, we're still good. We beat the game a couple times. And I don't think it's ever scared me. I don't think.
Yeah, I had to stop playing the first one with my brother because it was creeping him out. And that was, I think it was like 19 or 20.
Yeah, he brought his girlfriend over, and he's like, we're going to play this game. Didn't get very far.
Yeah, and then Keith, after the first big chapter, was like, yeah, I can't do it anymore. I'm like, come on.
You just beat the scorpion monster.
It's like, I used to play House of the Dead 2 all the time. That game's pretty freaky with zombies jumping in your face. So, whatever.
But yes, that is Resident Evil. I would watch it. It does get crazy, but it's fun.
And our final movie to talk about
is Silent Hill.
Another video game movie.
Which I have never played the video game of. So.
I've actually never played it either. I've just watched other people play it, either in real life or on YouTube, and it's pretty cool. I read the synopsis to the games a few times.
Yes, I was reading all the synopses and stuff, so. But yes.
I really enjoyed the movie. It's like being trapped in a video game, also in hell.
Yes. So Silent Hill is about, at least the movie is about a little girl named Sharon who has these nightmares of Silent Hill. So her mom, in all of her stupid-ass glory, decides to take her to Silent Hill, which is a mining town that had to be closed because the mine caught on fire.
And the coal mine is still burning. And It's based off an actual place in America, I think in Pennsylvania, where there is a coal mine that's still burning that you can't go near.
So she goes there, they have a car crash, and she wakes up and the world is gray and full of ash, and thinks nothing of it, even though that would scare the hell out of me.
And she's kind of trapped in some pocket dimension or purgatory.
Yes, they try to leave and the ground is just cut off. If you've ever seen, what is it, Langoliers? I think is the other one where, like, the world gets bubbled.
Oh, yeah.
But, back to the story. She has to go on an adventure to save her daughter. She meets Satan.
Yeah. It's a great horror movie. What makes it a great horror movie is that it has a very good plot.
Yes, a very good plot. So the plot of the game and the plot of the movie, they vary from each other in a few things. I think in the game they're not a religious cult. I think only in the movie they're a religious cult. Well,
yeah, I think there's just certain people in the games that want to summon a demon to end the world.
Whereas in the movie it's like half the townish is part of this cult.
And they're trying to keep back the demon instead of actually raising it themselves.
Well, they're failing miserably at that job.
Yeah, sadly the movie plot is probably a little bit better than the game plot. I'm watching a cat carry off a box.
Can we see him from here? Yeah, that box was flush up against the entertainment center. So, I don't know where he plans on taking that box, but he's trying to take a box. Special cat. What else about Silent Hill? It is creepy. And the first time we watched it together, I was in, I would say, a bad place mentally. Was that when I was still with my first boyfriend?
Yeah.
The pseudo-abusive guy. And I was sitting on the floor in a beanbag chair, and I had never watched a horror movie aside from, like, Rose Red of my own volition. So, yeah, that was scary for me.
She was afraid to sit on the couch with me.
I barely knew you.
I'm sorry you met so many awful people. But normally when I'm hanging out with a new friend for the first time and we're watching a horror movie, I'm not going to molest them. It's just not me.
Just not new people. Maybe after 3 movies.
No, never. No one gets molested.
At least not in the house. In the movies, yes. Like the end of Silent Hill, which is a bit graphic, even by my standards.
Yeah. Yes, the way my relationships work is that I'm a guy who owns thousands of movies. We need to watch those thousands of movies before I scare you off somehow.
You should see this face the cat is making at me. He wants food, but he already got fed, and I don't think he understands this concept.
Nope.
It's either that or he threw up the food somewhere and I have to go find it.
Anywho.
Is that all the movies?
I believe that's everything we're going to talk about at this juncture.
Okay. So, I'm toying with the idea of doing a video a day. If I fall behind, we'll do another catch-up video like this. And I think we've plotted out the last of our 13 to do as well. So,
We'll probably watch bonus movies, but whatever.
well, yes. No, we're only going to do these things.
You're trapped with me. You have to watch all the movies.
You think he's joking, but he's not. It's true. My life is terrible. Someone help me.
If we don't watch them all before Halloween night, it'll be, just a massive failure.
But you can't perform on Halloween night, because according to a American Horror Story freak show, if you perform on Halloween, a demon will come and take you.
Better record your video on the 30th then.
True.
Yes, I'm sure none of the 130,000 people that upload a video on Halloween are going to be dragged down to hell.
It's okay. We already live in hell.
No.
You just don't know it yet.
Alright, should probably go before the cats destroy the world.
Yes. Oh, one last thing. We had McDonald's on Friday night, And my father-in-law meant to get the boy toy of Transformers, but instead ended up with the My Little Pony toy. So now we have a Rainbow Dash mask. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it, though.
Need to become your first owner or something? Or is there like a specific word for bronies? Ponies?
I don't think there's a word for girls who watch ponies. I haven't watched any of the new My Little Pony. I used to watch it as a kid. But
I didn't even know about My Little Pony until I was an adult.
because you did not watch the right TV as a kid.
Clearly, I just watched like, Visionaries.
The Who's a What's It's?
These guys with the magical powers that had like TVs on their chest and they shot out visionary laser light animals and did battle with each other.
Like Care Bears?
Kind of, except it was in a post-apocalyptic Earth and it was animation more like Centurions or G.I. Joe. I watched a lot of questionable TV as a child.
Sounds like it. So.
We'll see you all later.
Yes. Bye.